Hello, this is my Viper guide on Split. It's going to be mainly aimed at Premier. And yeah, we're going to get started on defense. So first of all, we're going to look at mid. So on mid, this orb is going to be the main orb you're going to do. It's going to stop defenders from attackers from attacking this area easily. They get decayed when they're trying to get through it. You're generally going to have support with this as well. So when your orb does go down, you will have teammates probably populating B main or B heaven, sorry. So then they can defend you whilst that orb is down. You will also generally be playing double smokes, and that's sort of what I expect when you're going to play Premier, is that you're going to have double smokes with a Viper. And generally you can have support here, whether that be a Harbour somewhere on the map or it be an Omen, then this is probably how it's going to look, or Astra even. They can re-smoke this for you, and then when their smoke goes down, you can re-put up the orb. That's how that's going to go. And then to accompany this smoke, I just misplaced it, but that's fine. We will do a wall, and that wall is going to be about here. So this is like the 5th one of these. You will see people just go into, you'll see people just go into this corner, and do it like this. But I like it up here, and I'll show you that I'll show you why in a minute. So you just go onto this like 5th one, and you can go all the way back, like off the edge basically. And then just make sure you are getting this corner, like this corner here. In it, and then obviously the choke point here, but you're gonna have to if you're gonna hit the corner anyway. So I like that. What it allows me to do is it allows me to play on here, on the rope for like fast fights if I need them. I can also just play in the corner like this, to like punish people that try to like get into this pocket. That can happen sometimes. And generally, yeah, it allows like the enemy team, like the attacking team, to get these like first areas. But then it makes it really hard for them to get into like these choke points. Essentially is what this wall does. I'll just really quickly place it again and show you again. Where yeah, it's really hard for them to like get through this smoke. Even though it does give them this space, so the enemy team, like defending team, can't really check it. It doesn't really matter because you know they can't really get through you for quite a while. Especially good as well if you have like a sentinel on the site as well. Like it's really hard for them to get that space. And then generally you can play like a weak side type B because it is quite easy to retake B. So doing something like that can be really, really strong. Then we kind of move on to like other areas. So that's how I usually play Split. Those two things are usually how it goes most of the rounds. But there are times where I'm going to do stuff different. So once the trend is if I go A, I might just simply put, sorry, actually I haven't got my orb back, sorry. I might put my orb here at the start of the round. And then I'm going to do a very similar wall. So I'm going to go into this corner. And I'll just do a wall for mid. What it does is it walls heaven for me. And it also walls this for me. Usually I'll do this when I'm playing solo A. And I'd have an orb here, and I usually play elbow. And I'd watch this, and if someone crosses, I'll basically just watching for a cross most of the time. Is what's happening. And then if they try to push me, then I will put on my orb and molly. And then probably fight people that try to get it the molly through here. Like that's kind of how that will kind of go. Then we go over to B. So there's two ways to play B. There's male, which a lot of people will play because mid in general for Viper is pretty good on this map. And there is a one way here that you can do. That's how you would do it. Generally I don't like the one way too much because you do have to like kind of risk a bit to like get here. Sometimes you can get pushed really fast and it's really difficult to place this one way. So if you do know the this one way from this region, which I haven't been able to find, like from anywhere around here or basically somewhere safe to place it. I have almost got a version of it here, but I haven't quite got it yet. It will be something I'm like experimenting with. If you can get one that is safe to throw, and that doesn't require you to push out past the barrier over here when the round starts, then I would recommend using that 100%. As long as it is 100% accurate, or like literally 100% of the time, it will work. So jumping and throwing and things like that might be a bit difficult to incorporate there. As a lot of the time it's better to just have a normal throw to make it very, very consistent. It just needs to be really consistent, basically. Basically 100% of the time. It needs to be 100% of the time consistent is what I mean. And with that orb, generally I either save the wall, or I will wall for B, basically. Maybe not quite like that, sorry. I usually go in this corner. This. Because it just stops me from making this pocket here, which usually usually seems bad for me most of the time because like some people like push this area and then I can't pull up the main wall without there being a pocket here. So I usually do it like this. It's also quite deep as well because a lot of the time we play against like Sky and things. So having it like deeper into the choke point, it means they have to send the bird out wide like further. It means that that it's a lot easier to like dodge, basically, which is quite good. And that's kind of it for like B heaven. And then if I go to B main, there are like a couple things you can do B main, but I'm just gonna show you the one way that's most consistent, which is this one. So basically you just place it. You want to aim. You want to go on this corner and aim at this like drip. And what it'll do is just land there, and you can see their feet here. And basically this is really good if you think the enemy's going to go for an orb. If they want to get orbs, then you can go here, and when the person crosses trying to get the orb, you can just spray them. And then you'll usually follow this up with a molly on the orb, while the orb recharges. The molly on the orb while the orb recharges. It's kind of weird. While your Viper smoke's recharging, you molly the smoke. Jesus Christ! You molly the orb, so they can't take the orb, and you can delay them you can delay them a lot basically. If their intention is to get the orb, you're delaying them a large amount of time. You can do 2 mollies as well if you want to. It is maybe a bit too much to commit to just defending an orb, but you can do it. It depends on who's getting the orb, right? If it's like really pivotal to their round, like a Killjoy would be, for instance, or an Astro ult, could be very pivotal to their round. So if you are aiming to get rid of like a lot of time for them to have less time to actually get onto side and things like that, it would be really, really good to stop them from getting the orb initially, rather than stopping them flooding out, because it's really hard to if like Killjoy ult or like Astro. That's kind of it for defense, aside from the Viper pit. So I don't really pit A. The one pit I'll do A is actually if I'm on like sort of like a last chance in like a round or something, where it's like, or like a half, where we like put a low buy, or maybe like a force buy, but it's like pretty bad force buy or something, and I just happen to have my ult. Or sometimes I'll do a really aggressive ult and A with a shotgun. Don't push ahead of it though, like that. You want to make sure like you just chill in the smoke with a judge, right? It's quite easy for teams to like coordinate against you sometimes, especially in Premier, which is when you know I expect you to be playing Viper on this map. It can be quite easy to die here sometimes if they are well coordinated, but the judge is really, really strong. So if anyone does try and like, if there is any sort of mistiming or mistake, then you will punish it. And that's it for A. On mid, there is a good one from vents. You just do it from vents. You can do it quite deep. The reason why you want to do it a bit deep, you don't want to do it like super far out, is because you want to have a bit more space to play with, where you're not just instantly taking a contact fight. If you do it too deep, then you wouldn't be able to sit anywhere really in vents, like it would cut off too far, and then you can only sit like really, really close, and it can be really easy for them to like know where you are. But in this one, it's a bit harder for them to know where you are. And generally as well, don't get me wrong as well, if it is deeper, they have to take more decay. They will be taking less decay with this one, but generally you should be supported anyway in this one with like a mid Viper. You should have like at least one support player up in B main that can sit in here and take the contact for you, or at least sit in this area, so then you don't have to watch it and you can sit in vents and you can play like these close angles. Because if you don't play these close angles, right, you're going to get spammed in basically every angle but there, and there's easily pre-fireable, easily mollied, that sort of stuff, right? So it's a bit difficult to sit anywhere open here unless you expect them not to spray you, or you could maybe they spray you at the start and then you expect it to be done, so then you can start walking out and finding a play. But generally that's maybe a bit too risky. Maybe you should ask a teammate to do that instead, just so the Viper pit stays up. Sometimes it really depends on like the context of the round, like around you as well, like what they tend to do, the reads you have, that sort of stuff. We can really play into like how you play aggressive or not aggressive with the Viper pit. And there's one more Viper pit you can do on B. You just do it deep into B main. Obviously lot less places to play with, you know, as I was just talking about. There's a lot less that you want places to play with. In this one there isn't that many. You can get boosted up on here if you want to, or someone else can like jump up there. But generally this one is like to maximize decay in B main. And then it's really hard for anyone to come through B main, and by the time you're getting a fight over here, they're going to be immensely decayed. The one downside to this Viper smoke, or like there are a couple, but the main one that you want to be wary of is that you can get flanked through mid, so you want to have a strong side mid. So generally you won't be playing a teammate with you. Sometimes you might play one teammate with you, but that's going to really, really be to your detriment if they do go mid to B, because you will have one less player probably mid. So you want to make sure that when you do play this, you have like really strong side mid, or like a really strong mid, with like 3 players. that aren't you. So yeah, that's it for defense. Let's go on attack. Okay, so on attack, we're mainly going to be playing towards A, and the main wall we're going to do, this is going to be our defaulted wall, so we're going to do this basically every single round, if not, yeah, basically every round, most rounds, if not all rounds, basically. And what this wall does, it allows us to cross this area without being detected, and it also allows us to cross this area undetected, sorry. And the most important thing about this wall is that we don't have to use it, right? We can always put this up and then never cross. But the thing, what it does to the enemy team is that it creates this pressure where as soon as this wall goes up, this player can't tell if you're crossing or not. And obviously a spam isn't good enough to say like they aren't or not, like to guarantee that you're crossing or not. So it's really hard for them to not commit util to finding you here. Or just assuming you're there and playing accordingly, something like that, right? It's really, really hard for them to play versus this. And you can use it like one round and then not use it for the rest of the game, and that could sometimes just be enough to put fear into them. And like they'll check this every time or something. They'll commit Sky to over to A to bird this every time, or to dog it every time. Maybe even they'll set up some Viper util to try and like stop you from taking that space. So what will happen is, I should have actually gone on this over down defense. But if they do this wall, or if you do this wall, sometimes you'll see like a Viper smoke get put here, or like some sort of smoke like Cypher util as well, just to stop you from taking ever if you do ever cross. So they'll give you this space willingly, similar to how they'll do on defense anyway, and with some of the walls they'll do. But they won't give you any more than Terror. With like Cypher trip or like Viper smoke, just to stop you from doing it. And the reason and the Viper smoke will be played like if this wall goes up, then the Viper smoke will go up. So then she'll be using your fuel to counter you. She'll be using her fuel to counter your fuel. It's how it will go. But yeah, that's generally how you want to default this, and you want to always have this wall up. Yeah, just making sure that you can always have this path here. It's pretty good as well if you get it quite deep over here, because then you can kind of walk to the box. And then you can kind of start fighting Terror potentially if there's no one there, or like maybe take all of Terror if no one's there. And then we have the orb. So there is one orb that you'll do sometimes if you're, say, like other smoker dies. This is like a decent orb. So you just want to go on here. You can, either elevation works, I'm pretty sure. So I'll just do it from down here, which I think is the less likely one to work. But I think both work. Yeah, both work. And yeah, just does this. It blocks off both chokes, so they can't like kill you. They can cross, but honestly, you can just if you're worried about them crossing, right? So you go here, and then say if you're like rushing basically with this, like it's basically not a problem. Right? You just molly it if you want to. Anti-flood sort of like molly. It's pretty good. Pretty good orb to know. It can be good if your smoker is maybe doing some other things, or they've used their smokes to default or something previously. Or something like that, right? Or they're dead, right? And you want to go away. And that's kind of like how you would use that. And then I very rarely play these other positions. But yeah, generally it's going to be very normal controller stuff. You want to put the orb here in mid. Stops them from kind of going through as well. You can also molly this if you are worried about them tanking the decay. And that's kind of it. If you want to have a wall for B, you can do one like this. Bear in mind that is, so it does get stairs and it gets CT. Problem is with it is that it does create these pockets, so you need to make sure that you're aware, at least your team is aware of these pockets, and you can get spammed from over the top of the wall. But yeah, generally you can do things like that on the fly walls if you want to. Generally I would do those like on like fast range ecos. I wouldn't do it on pistol, because on pistol that's when that's like valuable time to try and condition your enemy into thinking this default wall is a threat to you, is a threat to them. So I would use it like that. Obviously every round can be, but sometimes you can do like one-off rounds that completely switch up the pace and go rush. But generally on split, rushing's not a great idea. So you would be doing those rounds very rarely, and you need to know what you're doing with a good read to go anywhere else. Then when it comes to like lineups, so I'll just do lineup, post-plan lineups. There's not really too much else like I'll do on. So say if you're going B, I would leave that up completely to the other controller on your team. And there are some like lineups you can do from like over here, and you line it up and it lands on here. I don't know them because they're just not needed. There is obviously a wall you can do here. Once again, not needed, I don't think. If you want to have a Viper wall that you can lurk out with, that's very similar to A, you can do this one. Oh, less in like this. Yeah, you want to do it like that. That's not the best one. So what this does is just allows you to lurk through. And yeah, it's very similar to the A wall. As long as you can like clear the first part of B site, and you can get the potential lurk if they're not actually looking at this area. And it could be a way for you to like get some util out of them, if you want to do that wall. So yeah, there's 2 good lurk walls you can do on attack. I would definitely do the A one more than the B one, but you can do a B one if you need to, or if you want to. But I would leave the general taking of B to the other controller. I would leave this sort of smoke and this smoke to the other controller. Obviously, you can do terror if you, you can do screens if you need to. Okay, so now we'll go on to lineups, and I only know like 1 or 2 lineups. Usually on A, I don't really go on B too much. I'm on my on the fly lineups. So I did this lineup on a short, I think, recently. You just want to go to this plant and aim to the left of this triangle, and it hits both spots that you're planting. So it hits open plant and it hits default plant. So it's a pretty catch-all type molly where it's going to get everything. I don't really have any other too many other mollies. I'm not as well versed on Viper as I'm on Killjoy on this map. I think I have more like attack mollies and really valuable mollies on Killjoy rather than Viper. So but bear in mind, like, I will be posting shorts of those like when I find them. So that's like stay tuned, subscribe to get more. So then we go on B, and on B I don't have any lineups from it here. The one lineups I do, there's 2 lineups I do have. I have one here. So what you want to do is you just want to do like a really low lineup for the open plant, and then you want to aim a lot higher, so towards this line for the other plant. Yeah, and that works. And then if you want to go over to male, if you come from male, so you've been lurking mid or something, and then you want to line up, you can do to the left of the green sign, and it lands open plant. And then if you want to get the box plant, which is implanted for you, but you can do it. A lot of people plant box just so it's safe. You want to aim at this like green rectangle, like anywhere in this green rectangle should work. Obviously I haven't checked the like complete extremities, but generally I just aim in the middle of it, and it gets everything over here. And yeah, that's it for the guide. Hopefully it wasn't like too long, and hopefully you got some valuable information from it. So yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.